I think we are live.
Woohoo!
Hello, friends. Hello. Um, we were having technical difficulties, but I think we figured it out.
Yes, we did. Mine are still ongoing, but I'll live.
We'll make it work. Yeah, my internet was not wanting to cooperate, so I did the tested and true method of just moving my computer.
It works.
I hope so. I hope so. We'll see as this live kind of goes on. But yes, hello, friends, listeners. Welcome to Would You Die Live, the show where we talk about your favorite horror monsters and villains live with all the technical difficulties and shenanigans you can expect from doing something without, editing.
It's part of the joy.
It's part of the fun, yes. And uh to the people who are listening to this after the fact, I am joined by one of my dear friends, really one of my best friends in the horror world. Um, she is the ultimate expert on everything A Nightmare on Elm Street. She is just kicking ass, taking names, and I just seriously, like, all this cool stuff she's doing right now, it just blows my mind, and I'm just like, yes, that's my friend. So please welcome my friend Diandra Lazor.
Woo! No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for
you
having me, Austin.
you can woo, you can woo.
Woo! Who said that? Wow, thanks.
So how have you been?
You know what? Since I've moved to Southern California, it's been quite an amazing adventure. They're true. Like when people think about, oh, they moved to like there's so much to do in California. No, like legitimately, there's so much to do in Southern California for anybody who loves anything spooky. But my problem is I live near Irvine. So I still have to drive. It's like a 15-minute drive without traffic. So if I travel at like 1 a.m. and I'm on the way home from like Los Angeles, it's fine. 45, 50 minutes. During the day, it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I mean, the traffic, of course, is just ridiculous. And now I've kind of figured out where all the traffic spots are. But yeah, it is as aggravating as people lead you to believe about that. But it's still wonderful because even though it's super chilly outside, it's still sunny. It still looks the same.
Mm.
And there's just like lots of, I mean, there's a lot of like Krampus holiday stuff,
Ooh.
creepy Christmas kind of creepmas stuff that's about to drop. So that's very exciting. And of course, I always love to be able to visit the Nightmare House, even though it's covered.
There's a drama to that I've seen.
Yes, major drama. So, did you like keep up with that whole shenanigans? Did you see that?
No.
All
I
right.
just kind of saw like the shenanigans were happening, and I was like, "That's none of my business. I'm gonna keep scrolling."
Well, for those who don't know, the Nightmare House in Genesee Avenue, just off of Sunset in Los Angeles, there are potted plants blocking the entrance of the doorway now, so you can't really get a good picture. In addition to the gate that's been there, because like 3 months ago, what is it, August? It might have been August. There was an incident between a neighbor walking her dog who'd made a comment about the owner should like put more Freddy stuff out to honor the movies, and then he like flipped out on her, and one of the content creators who was there uploaded it and it took off. and like millions of people in a short period of time watched it. And then myself and my friend Paige got on there and we're like making our own video about what happened. And I knew the content creators were there, so I added some more like perspective, and then those took off. And the next thing you know, the entrance is blocked. So I kind of, in a way, did this to myself,
Oh
but it
no.
was just talking about it because to me, a lot of people had responded, and some people responded and said, hey, there's like there's a nuisance clause that people have to be aware of when you buy a famous house, because you're going to get a lot of visitors. So that kind of
Yeah.
technically counts as a nuisance. So you have to let them know. But then Freddie was promoted, and somebody not that long ago told me that they went to the front of the house and were taking some pictures, and one of the owners came out and she like freaked out, and then the owner was like, oh, no, it's totally okay, take your time, we're fans too. I was like, you're fans too, and you still have these plants up in front of this house, and it's okay for you to take pictures. However, I'm still going to block it. I think it was the woman owner,
Mm.
so I'm assuming her husband is the one that put the plants up. But it's so petty to me. Like, dude, you're a grown adult. It's not like nobody, as long as people aren't, which I understand the gate, because sometimes fans have like no understanding of space, and they would like take numbers off
Right.
the doors or go and walk around the house, and it's like, dude, that's somebody's house, you can't just do that. But at the
Right.
same time, it's like, you bought a famous house, people are gonna come and be like, man, I wish it would look more like the original movies, man, I wish this would happen, because it's a famous house. And obviously they know, because when they bought it, the door was black and then they painted it red.
Yeah.
So they have an understanding of it. I just think that, with all due respect, he's been a little bitch. So, what else can I say? Just putting that out there.
Well, it's like I just feel like if you are going to purchase essentially a tourist attraction, right? You
Mm-hmm.
should expect tourists.
Right. Especially in Hollywood.
And
They're coming
like
to look
if
at movie stuff.
yeah, and if you have enough money to buy the Nightmare House, you have enough money to buy a house that people aren't going to
Right.
go to, and because I think there are only a handful of houses in movie history where people like will go to them.
Yeah.
There's not that many, and the Nightmare one is one of. I mean, that's been in your. You know, I'm sure you know the answer, but how many movies has it been in?
All of them in some capacity.
So, like, you see a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you know that house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do.
So, yeah. But I feel like that's the perfect way to kick off our 40 years of A Nightmare on Elm Street celebration
Woo
with the
woo!
drama.
We gotta love drama. It's the only thing that's going for us right now, because everything else is kind of dead in the water. Except we did get that 40th anniversary 4K DVD, which they now I'm not going to get mine until Thursday. They pushed it back. I was like,
Mm,
what the heck? But that's
that
all we got. We got to grasp onto our little straws here.
yeah, because I know it's been 14 years since Freddy has been on the big screen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long time.
And there's not really like video games or TV shows or anything else. I understand it's like a rights thing,
Mhm.
but get those
Yeah.
rights figured out and get paid. Like I don't understand how there could be rights issue. Like just figure it out. Everyone's going to make money when there's more nightmare stuff.
Yeah. And the thing is that uh it's really from what I know, a lot of Wes's wife, I think her name is pronounced Ia.
Mhm.
She has the most power in it, but she wants a lot of money for it, and so she has the veto power whenever the other Cravens want to do something. And then they just go back and forth, even between Warner Brothers, and we all know, I think we can kind of all agree that Warner Brothers is known for being a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And so I just assume that it's just two pains in the ass going at it, and neither one is willing to give up a butt cheek. So
That is perfectly told. That I'm
The
gonna
best I
steal
could come
that.
up with. Take it. Take it.
We're gonna make it famous.
Yeah.
That was that was glorious. I
Sacrifice
love.
them cheeks.
Well, it's
I'm gonna
insane
stand
because
outside Warner Brothers and with a sign that says "Sacrifice a cheek." Yeah.
well, it's insane because like I know Mike Flanagan wants to do something in the nightmare world,
Hmm.
and if he can't get it going,
Yeah.
then who can? You know?
Right.
And like
Yeah.
I'd love to see his take on it.
Yeah. Me too. He's such a big fan, and I think that would just be incredible. So I'm
So
rooting for it.
I'm rooting for it. I think the world needs new Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. Because I just think it's a concept that there's so much you can do with it. Like there's
Yeah.
still more stories with these characters and this world.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm going to say hello, Alistair, Mr. Sharkwater. Happy you're finally able to catch one of these lives. I'm glad you're here, my friend. I want to make sure I actually, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty bad at live streaming. I'm always like forgetting there's comments, but this is why I do it. We get better, you know.
Right. Yeah. And then they pop in when you're in the middle of a conversation. You're like, if I don't get to this now, when am I going to get to it? I have to respond because they just wrote to me. Yeah. It's an art form.
It's fun though. I really enjoy it.
Hmm. Yeah. It is
Um,
great.
but yeah, I mentioned as I was introducing, you are like the big. I would not to inflate your ego, but also to totally inflate your ego. I feel like you are the Nightmare on Elm Street person.
Oh, holy heck. Thank you.
Like undisputed. Um Anyone who's disputing, I think they're wrong.
I don't know what that says about me, but it's like she's only got one thing going for her. And it's just the fact that she's got all this knowledge about one thing. And I'm just like, well, sometimes when you got a thing, that's all you got. And you just got to keep going with it.
And you're humble too.
Yeah, I'm totally humble. I'm totally humble. Me? Who? What?
Well, it's just
Yeah.
like you're just like, well, I get it's like own it. You know what I mean? I think it's so cool. And like you I'm a bad live streamer, like I've said before. I have it in a different room, so I'm not gonna go grab it. But you have an article in Fangoria where you interviewed Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. It was incredible. It was crazy to get a phone call and you pick up and you're like, "Hello?" And then he's like, "This is Robert England calling for Missy." And I was like, "This is so freaking weird. It's just the two of us right now. This is in freaking incredible." And there's so much from that article that I did not get a chance to use because as we all know, Robert is a yapper. And
Good.
I think he may have answered maybe 4 questions in the hour that we had. Um, and I was like, I kept looking at my watch. I'm like, how do I, what do I do? How do I, because you just go blah, 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 blah. And you can't even be like, absolutely. Also on to this next thing. And he just one word after the other. And you just got to it was like that thing from the Cosby Show when it said something
Mhm.
like, sometimes you just got to let him talk until he runs out of words or whatever. And it's something like that. I mean, it's all very fascinating, but yeah, you definitely need a lot of time to speak with Robert. And so that article was amazing to do, in honor of the 40th for Fango. Also for Fango, holy crap, I have been collecting Freddy on the cover Fangos for a long time. And that I wanted to make it something that was a little bit of a fan perspective,
Mhm.
focusing on the interview of Robert, but then also having a mix of like if you're a big fan, you'll get something from this. And then if you're a casual fan, you'll get something from this, because I was worried that people would be like, oh, I've heard this before. Like, yes, maybe you've heard it before, but do you know what question Robert still gets the most and he doesn't want to hear anymore? How long does it take to put on the makeup? He's been asked that so many times, and some people still don't know. So there's kind of
Right.
like that fine line that you have to walk. And so far, so good. I haven't heard any bad things. And sometimes you hear, sometimes people leave comments or something and say a word, but maybe everybody's keeping to themselves. I don't know. Fingers
And
crossed I
this
don't hear anything bad.
in this day and age, I think you're doing something right if you're not hearing anything bad.
You know what? I will say that I am usually pretty surprised, because I tend to think that whenever people go on the internet and they have an opinion or something, people will usually rise up to say something against them or to criticize them of some sort. And when I go on the internet, it's like most of the people who would be gatekeepers, they have never, like, I feel like they respect me, which I feel like is such an incredible feat, because
Yeah.
that there are a bunch of people who take their fandom seriously, and they have not crossed a line with me. And I find that to be wonderful, because I'm also a sensitive individual and my feelings get hurt very easily. So I'm very grateful
Oh,
that I haven't had a lot of that.
I'm glad. I'm glad because um, it gets tough, because it's like
Hmm.
you put something out and you can get 20, 30 amazing, great comments, great job, but it's the one that's like meh,
Hmm.
and that's the one that sticks with you.
Uh-huh. You hear a Mac, you're like, "Oh, I put my whole heart and soul into it." Like
Right.
like all the movies that you've made, did you get some people who were like, "Eh, whatever."
Yeah, of
Really?
course. My latest one, I'm not gonna single any people out, but my latest one had a couple like negative comments, and like the majority of it is great comments and friends supporting me, but at the
Mhm.
same time, like there is one where the comment was just more garbage, and I was confused. I was like, "Are you calling my little itty bitty filmography garbage? Like, do
Yeah.
I have a hater? Or are you talking about the horror genre at large? Like, this is just another crappy, you know?" And I don't think,
Listen, I
but you know
watched
what I
it
mean?
and it's very impressive. I don't know who could call that garbage. I think they're probably just a sucky person, in my
Well,
humble opinion.
I just need a little more context. I'm like,
Yeah.
is it me or is it like horror and at large? Is it like,
Mhm. Yeah. I just wanna know, do you mean garbage is in my garbage, or like garbage
yeah.
is in more garbage? Could you just tell me, "Thanks so much." "Oh, my garbage? Great. Appreciate it. Thank you so much."
Exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's fun, but like, like I look at that and I don't want to see that. Um
Yeah.
I learned to
Especially
turn
after you put so much love into something.
well, I learned to turn notifications off from
Mm,
YouTube because I
mm,
didn't already and I should have
mhm.
because well, you get a notification and it's like a friend will be like, "Hey, I really loved this. Hey, you did a great job. Hey, do more." And that makes you happy and it's
Right.
fun. But I like woke up and I check my phone and I see like a notification. And it just says more garbage, and I'm just like, "Well, this is not how I want to start a Thursday or Friday, whatever day it was." I saw
Yeah. Now that comment is garbage.
that. But I do my best to try and engage with the positive people and let them know like I see you supporting um and with the negative stuff I just let it be cuz I think for every, you know, this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I think haters are a good thing if you're a creative.
Yeah. Oh,
Not that like I
gotta get
and
me
I
more
mean that
haters.
well, I mean it in the sense that like if you're getting haters,
Mhm.
people are seeing your stuff.
Right.
Like it's getting out there.
Mhm.
And if
And
you're
you've
gonna
done
work
something
yeah.
notable enough for somebody to hate on. Because I feel
Yeah,
like if people
they
don't feel threatened, they won't hate.
right. And
Yeah.
like it's just like, and in horror, a big reason why I really like horror is because as a genre, not every film is going to appeal to every person.
Right.
Like a Marvel movie has to appeal to as many people as possible. So sometimes they get a little safe or a little boring.
Mm-hmm.
But a horror movie, for the most part, it can do whatever it wants and people will love it.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will hate it. But a strong
Yeah.
reaction, good or bad, is a strong reaction.
Right. Right. Totally agree.
So, and with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, um, there were a couple films that had some negative reactions.
Yes, there are.
But and that's like, I would say it's like a A-list movie franchise. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the average person knows who Freddy Krueger is.
Yeah. Yeah. You just recognize him right
Yeah.
off the bat. I feel like he's one of those every time I see college girls,
Mhm.
sometimes like around Halloween, I see a lot of Freddy's and I'm like, if the college girls are dressing as you, you know that it's like a notable character because they're like, I want something sexy but recognizable. And so
Right.
you go for Freddy Krueger and you're like, hell yeah. That's how you know you've made it. When the sorority girls start dressing like Freddy Krueger. Yeah.
Sexy Freddy Krueger.
Dude, I'm telling you what, sexy Freddy could get it.
Very
I
fair.
think I
Very
think
fair.
regular Freddy is pretty sexy, but like,
Well, he's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, that's all it takes. Everybody's out here like, oh, I can't find a girl. Like, dude, Freddy, I'm down bad for Freddy, and he's like totally burnt. He's a terrible person,
Yeah.
but he's got a great sense of humor. Smash, you know?
He is the definition of a bad dude.
Dude, he
He's
is.
funny.
He's funny. Hey, I forgive him, you know? Oh, dang it. Dang it, he's funny. And it is funny as you go through the franchise, like
Yeah.
he is a character that they have managed. You think about Jason, you're like, oh, I feel so bad for that dude. You know, everything that happened to him feels so bad. Michael, you're like, he's just plain evil. How many
Yeah.
bad things did he done? I don't know. He's just plain evil. He's just, but Freddy, they're like, dude, this guy was a child murderer. And then you know what? His mom was a nun who got raped over the holidays by 100 maniacs. And they don't even know who his dad is. You're just like constantly adding to the fact that they're just like, how can we make him even worse
Right.
throughout the franchise? And they did the worst possible thing they could do to this character. And I'm still over here like, got all of this. It's like a dilemma, People talk about it. It's a big, but it is like a conversation. That is one comment that I've gotten quite a bit is
Mhm.
that how can you be a fan of a child, you know,
Yeah.
unaliver? And I'm only saying this because I don't know, there's all those rules with whenever you go online and they'll block things or flag things or whatever.
I
Um,
appreciate it
yeah, no
that
problem.
you're
I got it. I've been watching so many YouTubers. I'm like, okay, this is what they do. I've got to start doing this, which
because
stinks because
I always just say the words.
I know. I know. I
It's
feel like
bad.
in an educational no, I feel like in an educational standpoint, you totally should, but,
Right.
sometimes these social media things, they're not built to understand nuance. But, yeah, with
Yeah.
Freddie, he's just they make him worse. Worse, and people always say to me, "How could you like somebody who's a child killer?" And I'm like,
Right.
"Huh, you know what? That is a really good point. Why am I so like what is the line here with celebrating this?" And so I've
Right.
thought about it um and I want to start another YouTube channel and this is like one of the things that I want to get into of everything that I know about the fandom of A Nightmare on Elm Street and the history of Freddy and what Robert has said about Freddy. To me, liking Freddy is more about conquering your fears than it is about wanting to embody a child
Right.
unaliver. You know what I mean? We don't like him because of that. We like him because of how he does the other things. It's like spitting in the face of a society that tells you to be sweet all the time. And it's not that you're not a nice person or a good person. Just sometimes you
Mhm.
want to punch somebody in the face and you can't because you'll go to jail, you know? And so Freddy, liking Freddy and dressing up as Freddy, is that time when you can kind of tease that little bit of a threatening aura, but you don't actually do any of that stuff, or you shouldn't, because you will go to jail.
Right.
You should go to jail.
And it's
But yeah.
I think to go with your point, like, I always think like, well, he's fake. You
Yeah.
know, he's not real. It's a
Mhm.
fictional character. Um, and like I think there's something where it's okay to like the villains
Mhm.
as long as they're, fictional. But
Yeah.
like there are pretty bad people in real life who have a lot of fans.
Yeah, a lot
And
of
they
serial
say,
killers.
yeah, yeah. And they'll, like a Ted Bundy or a Charles Manson.
I don't get it.
Um,
I don't get that.
yeah.
Yeah, totally different territory for me.
I don't know if they were funny. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Ted
But
Bundy seems super charming, but he's still a real giller, you know what I mean?
yeah, right. But when it comes to like a Freddy or like Ghostface, like
Yeah. Ooh, face. Oh, yeah.
people are down bad for Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, and I get
Uh-huh.
it.
Yeah, we need more hot female killers, like
Like Rose the
Jennifer.
Hat.
Yes. Oh, Rose the Hat, Jennifer Check, Ginger Fitzgerald. Come
Mhm.
on, man. I don't care if you wanna murder me, girl, do it. Whatever you want.
I would say please and thank you.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like Rose the Hat is another child
Ugh,
unaliver. See,
she
I learned.
is. You
I'm learning.
you
But she is despicable.
Mhm.
But when she's like, "Well, hi there," I'm always like, "Hello."
Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I think there's something safe on having, like, a crush or having, like, a fandom of fictional villains, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like Darth Vader because he, is another child unaliver,
Mhm.
and, you know, was the right hand of a fascist empire, but like he's got cool armor, he says cool stuff. Darth Vader's low key funny. I don't think we give enough credit to how funny Darth Vader is.
Yeah, no, we don't. He's a
And
silly dude.
like he
Mhm.
is where it's like um I think in the first movie when he's choking someone with the force and then afterward he goes, I find your lack of faith disturbing. I'm like, oh, you a sassy dude. You are a sassy dude. I love Darth Vader.
Oh,
I just, yeah,
speaking of I'm sorry, this is like a Star Wars tangent.
hell yeah.
You should finish your thought, but dude, have you gone on Rise of the Resistance?
I haven't been to Disney World since like 2017.
Dude, I just went on the one in Disneyland because everyone was
Mhm.
like, "This is incredible," and I'm like, "Okay." And the first part of it, I don't know how much you know about it. Like,
I think Kylo Ren's in it.
okay, so here I'm gonna give you the synopsis because I remember
Mhm.
when it was coming out and I saw little bits and pieces, but I had no idea what was going on. Essentially, everyone's like, "This is incredible." The line was one of the longest, and we got on toward the end of the night, and you go into this ship, and they're gonna transport you to somewhere else, and there's like a bunch of actors, and then you get out, and the door that you entered from, you're in like you're in like an enemy ship, and you
Oh,
go to like 5 different areas. It is the most immersive Star Wars thing I have ever been in. It's the most immersive ride, period, I have ever been in. The animatronics were incredible. So yeah, so you go in this ship, you get
Mhm.
out, you're on what is the name of, it's not the Republic anymore. What is it in the newer movies? What's it
The
called?
Resistance.
No, not the Resistance.
Oh, the First Order.
The First Order. Thank you. So you're on an order ship and you have a lot of like the order like you get out and there's like probably 100 um stormtroopers standing in front of you,
Ooh.
like in a hangar, and then there's
Mhm.
this giant screen with like everything going on and the noises are everywhere, and then you go into this other facet and then they put you in a cell, and then you get broken out of a cell with a laser beam, and then they put you into a moving cart with multiple people and you're driven by a robot, and there's all these robots coming out of different places, and you go into this one, you go up and down in elevators, and you
Whoa.
go, like they have those giant walkers, they open up one door and you go in, and it was like this huge hangar with all, I was like, I feel like I'm in freaking Star Wars. And the Kylo Ren
Mhm.
animatronics were so, I mean, it was, I walked off of that ride crying because it was like, I didn't know what I was going to expect, but it was legitimately like being in a Star Wars movie. You will
That's
freak
so
out. You
cool.
have to go on one of those. Yes. I'm just
One
saying.
day. One
Yes.
day. I would love to. I mean, believe you me, I would love. I love rides. I really want to go to Universal. Well, first, Universal Horror Nights is like a
Mm,
bucket list thing for me. I want to
yeah.
go to that so bad, but they're gonna open that new park, which is gonna have like Super Mario World and How to Train Your
Yeah.
Dragon World. And you know
Yeah.
me, I love Toothless.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have the Universal monsters.
Yeah. That area looks so cool.
And
Finally.
they're gonna have like a tavern. Excuse me, they're gonna have a tavern. And like, I want to get drinks with Wolfman. That would
Yeah,
be
I
so much
saw
fun.
that. And I think it's in um like the windmill that's on fire is like over that tavern. I'm like, that
That's
is
so
so
cool.
so dope. Holy crap. Yeah, I really want to go to that. Thank God for Universal doing this. And then in
Yeah,
Vegas, them opening up the year-round horror experience that's going to be there.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, right next to area 15, which is like this. Have you been to Otherworld in Columbus? Do you know Otherworld?
No.
Okay, so it's like this other dimensional giant art thing that's kind of
Mhm.
also space themed. Right,
Ooh.
like right next to it is this huge 20 acre, something like that. I don't know, indoor. It's basically Halloween Horror Nights all year long that
Oh,
Universal is putting
that's so
together in Las
cool.
Vegas. Yeah, and it's going to be not too far off the strip. And so yeah, they're still working on that, but they just started announcing some stuff on Halloween. So
Oh,
thankfully Universal's keeping
that's
horror
so
stuff alive. Yeah.
yes. They
Yeah.
they know their roots, you know?
They do. They definitely do.
So I can appreciate that. I'm gonna read some of the comments because people
Sure
are
thing.
being awesome and I'm being bad. Um, no one's good at live streaming. Thank you, Alistair. um, our friend Dead Noise. Hello,
Hey, buddy.
hello. We love yappers. The article was fantastic too. Can't say I'm surprised though, given who did the interview. LOL.
Aw, thanks.
That's awesome. I love that. My boy, Adam. I downvoted that comment when I. You didn't have to do that, but you know, when you have haters, it's always good to have your buddies, you know?
Yeah. You gotta have other
So,
people that got your back. You don't say anything bad, you let them do it.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And that's why,
Avengers assemble.
exactly, Fred Vengers, because
Fred Avengers.
that's us.
Yeah.
To be fair to Freddy, most of the kids in the movies are annoying. I don't think that's a good reason to. Um,
Yeah.
but but it's fun in a movie, you know? That's why I
Yeah.
think a lot of the Friday the 13th movies work. Is
Mhm.
because you have a bunch of unlikable characters, and essentially you're rooting for Jason in a lot of
Yeah.
them.
I honestly don't like most of the teens in the Friday the 13th movies. I love a lot of
Yeah.
them in the Nightmare movies because I feel like they're all so unique, but I get it. Freddy's a kid hater.
Yeah, there's something wrong with Freddy. Freddy has a joy to what he does. Not a lot of other slashers you can say that about. That's true. That is
Mhm.
so true. And I think the ones that do, I think they are directly inspired by Freddy.
Yeah.
Because off the top of my head, I think of Chucky.
Yeah.
I think Chucky
Absolutely.
enjoys what he does, and Chucky's
Mhm.
very, very Freddy. Because Chucky's funny. You don't fuck with the
Yeah.
Chuck. Like
Yeah.
a pun battle between Freddy and Chucky would be hilarious.
Oh man, epic rap battles of history should do something with Freddie and Chucky. I would love to see that face off.
That would be great. And then the big horror icon of the moment, Art the Clown,
Oh
so
yeah.
Freddy coded.
So Freddy coded. He doesn't talk, but he's super Freddy coded. I love what
Yeah,
they're doing with the marketing with that too, of sending him to different stores and stuff. Oh, it's
that's
so
so
good.
cool.
It's so brilliant. Yeah, big fan of that. But you're right.
Have you seen Terrifier 3 yet?
I have. I did. I saw it at the end of September, early October at
That's
Beyond
cool.
Fest. Yeah,
Oh, you went to Beyond Fest?
I did.
Oh, that's so cool. I want to go to
Mhm.
Beyond Fest and Fantastic Fest. Fingers crossed I'm gonna go soon. I'm gonna keep
But maybe
applying.
you can go like if you ever do a trip, you could do one that is where you can go to Halloween Horror Nights because Beyond Fest usually happens, or is it Fantastic Fest?
Oh,
Something around there. It's usually in like October,
I
September.
think
So
I
while
think
that's
Fantastic
happening,
Fest is September and
yeah,
Beyond Fest is October. I think it's one after the other.
yeah, yeah. Beyond Fest was definitely going into October. So that's something that you could do is be able to attend both of those things.
That's a good. You're so smart. I love this. You're
Shanks.
always
These are things
you're
that I've
always
learned since being here.
you're always giving me the best advice, the best ideas. Um,
Shucks.
but yeah, one of these days I'm gonna. I mean, that's I want to go to as many festivals as I can, and it's hard when you're poor.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I'm doing pretty good, I think, at the moment. But it's hard because like the films I've made have not gotten into Fantastic Fest. So it's like
But they're
which
so
is
good.
oh thank you. But it's one of those things where it's like those bigger genre festivals are getting hundreds, if not thousands, of submissions. And
Yeah,
I
but still.
and I know and they only accept like maybe 50 or 60. You know? So I don't think it's something where it's like, oh, the movie they made are bad. I don't think it's anything like that. Um I think it's more like, they have to program and get films that fit with each other. They can only pick so many, you know. I don't envy that job.
Yeah.
I can never do it, you know.
Well, when I know of film festivals out here, I will because I know they also had like the Happy Frights Film Festival.
Ooh.
That was toward the end of October. And like, do you know Kylie, the horror hippie on YouTube?
Yes. I
She had
don't know her. I know of her.
Yeah, so she had, I think, her short or some of a movie that she was in. I can't remember what it was. I think one of her shorts may have been in it. So
Oh, that's
you could
cool.
add that would probably be something that you could definitely probably get into. And a lot of horror fans go to that as well.
Yeah, she makes really good videos.
She does.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't know her. Like I said, I know her videos, I know her account, but like I've never talked to her. So I can't be like, yeah, I know her because I don't. But she seems cool.
She
Maybe
is.
one day.
Yeah. Come
I'm
out here.
always
I'll be like, Austin, I'm just going to take you around. I'm going to schmooze the hell. I'm going to be like, this is Austin, the next big filmmaker. Everyone's going to be like, ooh.
well.
Because the horror scene out here in Los Angeles is actually pretty small. We all know each
Oh,
other. And we are all I see people and I'm like, "You know them? What? You know how the yeah, it's everybody's interconnected. So, it's a great thing to be in that circle.
one day. One day.
Please.
We're gonna make it happen. I
Yes.
got one more comment to read. I haven't been to Disney since like 2015, but going back to Universal for the Dark Universe park is on the bucket list.
Heck yeah.
I I I haven't been since 2017, but I definitely want to go as soon as I can. Um, been keeping busy though, you know.
Yeah, you've been cranking out films.
it, it's hard. Um,
They are. Yeah.
I'm tired a lot of the time. I'll be perfectly honest.
Mhm.
But you, guys, I'm a professional podcaster. Watch this amazing segue I'm about to do. Um,
Ooh.
I'm someone who, you know, when I'm making a movie, I like to pick certain films where I can just like I I play a game with myself. I call it the Letterboxd game, where I assign 4 movies I love to the movie I'm making.
Uh, I like that.
It kind of helps me find where the tone is.
Hmm. That's
And
smart.
like A Nightmare on Elm Street, see how I brought us back home? Professional.
Ooh.
But like A Nightmare on Elm Street, that's a film I go to a lot. And like I think Wes Craven, and I think actually a lot of the Nightmare films do a good job at this, but the first one especially, Wes Craven creates this like if it sometimes it feels like you're watching a dream.
Mhm.
And I don't mean just like plot wise, yeah, Nancy's having a nightmare. I mean like the aesthetics, it feels dreamlike,
Yeah.
and like
Mhm.
um I did a live stream with Celise from Sweet and Spooky.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
She's
saw that.
awesome. I love
She's
Celise.
so
Shout out.
cute. I love her.
Um but we were also talking about Nightmare, and I believe I said it then, but like I remember the first time I saw Nightmare on Elm Street. And when Tina is in the body bag during Nancy's nightmare,
Mhm.
that to me that was the scariest part of a pretty scary movie, you know.
You're not supposed to be in a body bag when you're alive.
Nope. Nope.
Uh-uh.
But like I watched it the other in this past month, rewatching it, and like I think scary wise it holds up.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't sorry,
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it does.
because like I you might feel the same way, but like it's a little harder to scare me than it was when I first watched A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We've seen a horror film or 7 since then.
Exactly. Exactly. And like and because you and me were so close to the horror genre, because we make it content and films and everything and podcasting, like we know how the sausage is made, you know.
Yeah, bro. We've seen that wiener in production.
Hey yo.
Hey! Hey!
Now we're cooking. Uh,
Oh, cooking wieners!
ay, ay, ay.
Ay, ay, ay.
But but I mean, like I don't want to speak for you, but for me, feel a little desensitized to horror movies now.
Mhm.
Like, when I watch them, and I still get great enjoyment out of them, but I don't really get scared. I'm more like, "Holy shit, that was the most insane thing I've ever saw." Or maybe not that, like, you know,
Yeah.
big of a, but, like, I watched, The Substance, and I thought that was so fun.
Dude, that's my favorite movie of the year. I can't stop talking about it.
It's up there for me. I thought it was fantastic. I had a great time
Mhm.
with it. I really enjoyed, Terrifier 3. I loved Smile 2.
Yeah, me too. I didn't really
I
like the
thought that was
first one, but I like the
fantastic.
second one.
I liked the
Yeah.
first one, but I liked the second one a lot more.
Yeah.
And, like, so I still love the horror genre. I still think it's great, and, like, I'll jump at a jump scare. It's really easy to
Mhm.
make me jump, but, like, I don't have that, like, I'm scared of the movie anymore.
Yeah.
But I was watching A Nightmare on Elm Street and, like, Tina's death, I was like, "Ooh, that's kinda rough." Like, that's still
Yeah.
a brutal scene.
Yeah. I have the same feeling with, Marge's death at the end, because
Mm,
that even though I'd never really watched the movie all the way through, I remember it popping on TV and
yeah.
just her being like this charred corpse, torn to shreds, sinking into that, like, lightning fog that was burned into my brain. It was like every time I'd turn on the somehow get to the movie when it was airing on TV, it was always that part, and it freaked me out. And so even when I still watch it to this day, it does not sit well with me.
It it really holds up, and
Yeah.
I'm so happy that it has a like, it was selected to be in the National Library of Congress.
Yeah. So
That's
impressive.
insane, because
Mhm.
Nightmare on Elm Street is like a low budget indie horror movie,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, it is. But its implications are massive now.
It's
The movie that
huge.
started it all. It is, it's crazy. I mean, when you think about all of the merchandise, the books,
Mhm.
the comics, the short run TV show, the music, the references in movies and
Yeah,
speeches and TV and like all of that stuff, it runs so deep, so
and
deep.
Freddy's presence is still here in, like, our our pop culture. I mean, we were talking how, Art the Clown's very Freddy coded.
Mhm.
Um, I think Vecna from Stranger Things,
Yep, very
very
much so.
Freddy.
Mhm.
Um, I remember when I was first watching, what was it, a season he's in? Season 4, I think? I
Yeah,
said
because
to m
season 5 is the last one coming out.
okay. I said to myself, "This is a Nightmare on Elm Street."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I really like that season so much. I'm like, "Man, I really love this season," and it's not just Eddie Munson.
Yeah.
Um
I love it. But,
It's a good season.
and, Robert Englund was in that season.
Yeah, and I love when
The
the cast was
Yeah.
talking about him, they're like, "I didn't think much of this character until I watched Robert give so much depth to him," and I was like, "Okay, alright," and I'm like, "That's the power of the England, you know?"
Yeah, and that's a very meta casting, because
Yeah,
Vecna is pretty much Freddy Krueger in this
yeah,
world,
he is.
and, um, to cast the OG Freddy as, like, the father of your Freddy,
Mhm.
it reminds me of when they casted Sean Connery as, Indiana Jones's dad in The
Yeah,
Last Crusade, because, like, Indiana Jones was, like, a big influence on, I'm sorry, James Bond was a huge influence on Indiana Jones. Steven Spielberg wanted to make a James Bond movie. George Lucas was like, "Well, I got an original character." So they cast James Bond to be his dad.
that's so cool. I
And
love it when they do stuff
yeah,
like that.
like a meta casting, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I'm trying to think of, like, and there are more meta castings, but of course I can't think of any when I want to give some more examples. Now I'm like, oh. Um,
Well, the audience can Google because I'm going to, because now those are the only two that I really know.
yes, like my brain just kind of just.
I get it.
I'm I'm like I'm so mad because I know there are more than I'm thinking of, but
I do have a question for you.
yeah.
This was one of the questions that I had asked Robert, but I actually did not
Ooh.
like his answer. Um, why do you think A Nightmare on Elm Street has endured as long as it has in these 40 years?
I think A Nightmare on Elm Street taps into something primal in us in the sense that like there is a vulnerability when we're sleeping. And I think A Nightmare on Elm Street smartly I can't think of many other franchises that take advantage of that fear,
Hmm.
manifest it into an iconic character that makes you laugh, that makes you scream. And I think a big reason why it's endured for so long is because, and we haven't mentioned her yet, but Nancy Thompson. Because Freddy's funny, but he's also scary. And I think the
Hmm.
concept of dying in your dreams, that is scary, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but Nancy kind of represents a strength. So it's not just tapping into the fear, but also tapping into your inner strength. Because Nancy takes the fight to Freddy.
Yeah.
Nancy is amazing, an amazing character, and like you were saying earlier, like Nightmare on Elm Street is it's like you conquering your fears.
Right.
And I think that's the point of the franchise, the point of every movie,
Hmm.
starting from the first one, is kids taking the power into their own hands and um surviving when everything's set up against them. I mean, obviously Freddy is a motherfucker and he's trying to get them, but like the parents aren't doing shit, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Um their authority figures are non-factors. The kids have to do it themselves. And you
Yeah.
grow up watching something like that, and then the next generation grows up watching something like that. I think A Nightmare on Elm Street will be around forever.
Yeah.
So I hope I did a little bit of a better answer than Robert.
I think you did a great answer. I am trying to, I haven't asked them, but I want to ask Fango if I could take the extra elements of a lot of his answers because there's a lot that I didn't use that
Hmm.
just didn't fit, or for whatever reason, it just wasn't what I wanted to put in and put it out there. But essentially, Robert said, "Oh, it's because like of DVD re-releases and
Oh, a
VHS
very pragmatic.
re-releases and all that stuff." I was like, and I was talking. I went to a premiere of an indie horror movie called Stiletto,
Mhm.
and Douglas Tate was there. And Douglas
Oh.
Tate, yeah. For those who don't know, Douglas Tate is a stuntman in the industry, and he was actually the last person to act with Robert as Freddy at the end in Freddy versus Jason, in like the last bit of him in the makeup. And so he was saying, Robert is just so up there and out there and older that he's kind of out of touch with everything that's going on. But he's so famous, he doesn't need to. He doesn't even care that
Right.
much that he's just kind of out of touch. And I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. But it's kind of, I feel like a disservice to not tell or show or like talk to him about that. And when we were interviewing, I'm like, I ain't got no time to give him the breakdown. I'm not going to sit here because he thinks I'm simply a professional of everything. But it was funny when I went up to Robert at I feel like there's potential for it, because when I went up
Mhm.
to Robert at Horror Hound with my poster, which was of the cover of Fango, he was like, did you have a podcast? And I was like in a Nightmare on Elm Street podcast? He was like, yeah. I said, Elm Street Radio. Yeah, I did. He goes, yeah, you should do that again. I was like, and I
You
wanted to be
have
like, does
to.
that mean you'll be on it? Yeah. So I don't know where or how he knew about that, but he did. And so um yeah, I feel the need to resurrect that uh that podcast and somehow bring on Robert and have like a really good discussion with him about this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I think that would be amazing because I try to find like interviews with filmmakers that I really like and
Yeah.
look up to, and Robert's one of them. So I always try and find Robert England um interview, like podcasts I can listen to. So if you can, I I will, as soon as I get the notification, it's going right in my ears.
I would love to. I've also never interviewed Heather, and I feel like her and I
Whoa.
could have a really good conversation. I mean, I've talked to her a bunch. We've,
Yeah.
done non-horror or nightmare things that she somehow is always like, "Nightmare." And I'm like, I've said, we don't have to talk about nightmare. We could talk about other things. We could talk about like, I don't know, how are your grandchildren? Like what's going on in your life? We don't have to bring it back to nightmare, but somehow it always comes back to nightmare. Um, but I would love to have like a real conversation with her because I feel like we could really get into some good stuff there. As far as Nancy goes and horror goes and the franchise goes, and I'd love to do that.
Mhm.
So we will see, but yeah, Robert knows very little about the impact, and he was supposed to be involved in Fredheads, but there was some, I'm not even sure how to put it, but it's almost like just scheduling
Yeah.
conflicts, agent conflicts, stuff like that. So we never really got to get his perspective on this, which is kind of a shame. But from what I could tell, he really doesn't know. So maybe I just have to go and slip him a DVD copy if he'll watch it. I'd hope he'd watch it.
It's
Kidnap
in
him, make him watch it, send him back.
it's interesting because like I was just at Motor City Comic Con in Novi,
Mm,
Michigan, and there are a lot of big name celebrities there. And
mhm,
Robert Englund had one of the biggest lines
mhm.
consistently. And it made me so happy. Because I thought like I mean, at Horror Hound, he has the biggest line always. And that makes sense because he's
Yeah,
Freddy Krueger. He is the king of horror.
yeah.
Um and you can get other top horror names, and like Horror Hound did. I don't think there's anyone bigger than Robert Englund in the world of horror.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Bruce Campbell could be up there. He might have a long line. Um,
Yeah, but I just feel
Howard
like
Gordon has a long line, but like
yeah,
everybody has played. I feel like a lot of people have played well-known horror characters, but not to the extent that Freddy is, as far as icon goes. And his face is a part of it, his personality is a
right.
part of it, his voice is a part of it. Whereas, say, if Kane Hodder had played Jason in all of the Friday the 13th movies, I wonder if it would be different. But given that he only did a couple, even though he's like the fan favorite, he's not the
Right.
only one. So it makes me wonder if anything would have changed, but I also don't know if it would have. There's just
I,
something about Freddy.
yeah, there's something about Freddy, and I think Robert Englund is the most famous horror actor since Vincent Price.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And like, I'm at this, I'm at this Motor City Comic Con. Wayne Knight was there. His line wasn't as long as Robert Englund's. And everyone knows who Wayne Knight is. I mean, one of the
Yeah.
biggest movies ever, but also Seinfeld's one of the biggest TV shows ever, and
Yeah.
Space Jam was huge, especially for
Yeah.
our generation, and
Mhm.
Toy Story 2. John Rhys Davies and Andy Serkis were both there. Like Lord of the Rings legends. I mean, John Rhys Davies, I love for Indiana Jones. Andy
Mhm.
Serkis has been in everything, a part of
Yeah.
every big franchise, like Marvel, Star
Mhm.
Wars, Lord of the Rings, Planet of the Apes. His line was very long as well, but like I just feel like Robert, his line was consistently the longest, and it made me really happy because I think there are more like you could say there are bigger stars there in terms of like
Mhm.
normal people knowing them, but I'm like maybe not. Maybe Robert, like maybe I'm underestimating the normal crowd.
Eh? What's normal, you know? No, I'm just kidding. I
Right.
know what you mean. Yeah.
So it made my heart very happy to see my boy get a lot of money. um but yeah, I think that sort of stuff, I love it. We were talking about how funny Freddy is.
Mhm.
I have to ask, what is your favorite Freddy one-liner?
Oh, jeez. God, I've tried people have asked me before, and I feel like I never have a definitive answer. Um, I I'm racking my brain through everything. Um, God, what do I wanna say?
He's got a lot of good ones.
I know, I've never, like, really picked it. I feel like every time I think of one that I really like, I'm like, "But is that my favorite? I don't know." Man the Torpedoes from Freddy vs. Jason always makes me laugh. That
That
is
I love
just
that.
so funny. Um, I love it in Freddy's Dead when he is talking about, um, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but nothing will ever kill me." I think about that line often. "Welcome to Primetime, Bitch" is so iconic, but it's like everybody's favorite line, so I just feel like I'm going through all of these, and it's so hard to pick one.
I wouldn't judge if you picked Welcome to Primetime, bitch.
I'm just gonna say "Welcome to Primetime, Bitch" for the funsies because it's so short, sweet, and to the point, and he's got his bitch in there, you know? Like,
Yeah,
bitch is such a Freddie word. It's
he's
hilarious how
bitching.
much he owns
Yeah.
bitch. Yeah.
Like when
Actually,
they yeah, yeah.
you
Oh,
know
you
what
got
I
one.
think my favorite line is?
Mhm.
It could be in part 2 when that guy's trying to calm him down and he goes, "Help yourself, fucker." And then he just whips him over. I love that line so much. I think that's so sassy of him.
I love
That
it.
that could be one of them. Yeah. I love that.
I I'm going to say Welcome to Primetime, bitch is my
Good
favorite.
choice. Good
And
choice.
yes, it works in the moment and it's great and it's easy to say, but
Mhm.
it for me, what makes it so good is the setup.
Mhm.
Because it's a very, very scary nightmare sequence, I think, where it's like you're
Yeah.
watching she's watching late night TV and then Freddy is it's Freddy all of a sudden. I forget what he says when he's on the TV, but like
Who gives a fuck what you
yeah,
think?
that's yeah, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
This is why we have the expert on. But yeah, who gives a fuck what you think? And like that's a really good
Uh-huh.
scare in itself. And she's like, "Whoa, what's just happened to my TV?" And then like, he goes, and when he's like, "This is it, Jennifer, your big break in TV," like that going into Welcome to Primetime, bitch is so good. And
Yeah.
it's mean. It's really
It's so
fucking mean.
mean. It is. It's just pun after pun, but it's, like, really mean pun. You're like,
Yeah.
"Dude, she just wanted to be an actress,
And
okay?"
I think what makes Dream Warriors one of the scarier ones in the franchise,
Mhm.
and the original is my favorite. I think the original is the scariest, but I love Dream Warriors because I think it does the most with the attacking kids' dreams in the
Mhm.
sense that in Dream Warriors, Freddy's not just attacking the kids in their nightmares,
Mhm.
he's attacking their dreams
Yeah.
in the sense like she wants to be an actress. Um, the one kid in the wheelchair just wants to
Will.
walk. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
all he wants. He doesn't
Yeah.
heck, come on, Freddy. He just wants
Mhm.
to walk. He's like, "In
Yeah,
my dreams, I could walk." And you're like, "Oh." And then and
right.
then Freddy's like, "Why don't we put you back in the chair, kid?" You're just like, "Come on, man."
And like Tara dreams of like cleaning herself up and getting away from her bad
Yeah.
life, and Freddy comes with um the needle fingers, and it's
Yeah.
just like, and that one
Let's get
Freddy's
high.
attacking their aspirations and their
Yeah.
wants.
Yeah.
Um that he doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't quite do in the other ones. And I
Yeah.
think Dream Warriors is where Freddy is his scariest because he's
Ooh,
attacking these
take.
things.
Hmm. That's an interesting take. I like it. I think
And
part 2 Freddy is the scariest.
I love Nightmare because I feel like there are a lot of acceptable answers to which Freddy scares you the most.
Yeah.
As long as it's
I like
not,
hearing the
yeah,
answers why.
right. And why do you think the Freddy and Freddy's Revenge is scariest?
To me, it's, first starting off with the look, the witchy, wet look with those, like,
Yeah,
yellowy, reddish orange eyes. The fact that he then kinda gives up the glove when he takes over Jesse's body, and he's just got, like, these razors coming out of his fingers. I think he's ruthless in that, and he's sinister, and he's pretty he walks still in the shadows as he did in part 1, but he's stronger
mhm,
in his presence. He's just freaking going around attacking a lot of people at once. There's a lot of fire attached to him, and I just feel like the idea of possession is pretty terrifying.
yeah,
And so I just think a lot of how he carries himself, how they presented him in the dark, in the shadows, in the fire, in the dirty things, and how he moves. He still has a little bit of humor, but not much. In the first one, he's kind of like,
right.
it's like a little goblin esque in the first one. And then in the second one, I feel he becomes more of the Freddy that we know, but his humor and his little silliness takes a bit of a back seat
Yeah,
to just kind of this like demonic presence. So that's why I think that part 2 is the scariest version of Freddy. That's the Freddy out of all the Freddys. If I was in a dream with that Freddy, I'd be like, you know what? I don't know if he's going to let me go. You know, we might have a tight bond, but I still think he's probably going to kill me. So that's
I
my
feel
answer.
that. I feel that. I just, I think you're right, appearance, because he's so, like, slimy in 2,
Mhm.
and that's pretty nasty. I do love that pool scene,
Yeah.
because now I'm thinking about that, but, like, the 3rd one, Dream Warriors, if I had to face a Freddy, I feel like I'd have the toughest time with Dream Warriors Freddy because he would, like, that Freddy would, like, go after my ambitions, go after my
Mhm.
dreams, and that's tough, like,
Yeah. What do you think he would
um,
do? How do you think he'd get you?
so okay, so I gotta tell you about a dream I had a few months ago
Ooh.
because I could see this leading into a Freddy nightmare.
Okay.
I had a dream I was having lunch with Sydney Sweeney, and it wasn't like a date or anything like that a normal
Mhm.
dude would dream about. It was
Mm.
literally me having a lunch and, like, talking about projects that we could work on to that was my dream.
I believe you. Okay.
N but you know what? It was funny because I told my mom that, like, the day after, I'm like, "I had the weirdest dream." Uh, and I woke up, I was being like, "God damn it." I thought, things were happening with the career, so I feel like my dreams would have something like that, where it's like
Mhm.
I'm having, lunch with a famous actress. who I want to work with, and then them turning into Freddy or something like that, or
Yeah.
maybe not quite that, but you know what I mean. Like it would start
Yeah.
off like, oh, I'm making like the Jennifer debt, like, oh, this is my big break,
Yeah.
and then here I am getting welcome to primetime, bitch.
That would suck. You'd be like, "Oh, I feel
Right?
so close. This feels so real." And then you're like, "Oh no, it's not real. Oh no, I'm gonna die."
Yeah. So I think that's how Freddy would get me.
I think that's pretty fair.
Like I'd be dreaming that I'm in a meeting with Universal talking about the next Jurassic Park movie, and they're gonna be like, just kidding. And like Freddy would like use his finger knives to like cut the contract I just you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you
So
run out of the room and you turn a corner and suddenly you're in Jurassic Park and Freddy is the giant dinosaur.
yeah.
He's Rexy and
He's Rex.
he's got the little glove hand.
and a little hat.
And he's red and green striped though. You know what I'm saying? So like, oh my
Rexy
god.
Krueger.
Yes. Come on, man. That would be sick. You'd be like, "Oh, this is such a cool dinosaur design, but ah."
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. And then like the T-Rex can talk because it's Freddy, and they'll say something like, I don't hold on to your butts and then eat me.
Yeah.
I,
And that's all
I
that's left of you is just your butt cheeks. Which brings us back to the very beginning of the whole sacrifice a cheek. Sacrifice a cheek.
I love it. You know what, Warner Brothers? We need to write the next Warner Brothers Universal get together. This is the crossover the people need.
Yeah, totally agree.
A Nightmare in Jurassic Park.
Yes.
I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, I could keep going on and on and on. I could talk for 40 years about
Yeah.
this. But I'll start to wrap things up because I know you got stuff going on, and but I thank you so much for hopping on with me. Oh, I got a few more comments. I should probably do my job. Austin's the goat for real. Thank you, my friend. I love you, Chris. And Infinitor says, saying how sweet Dark mate to Kelly Rowland in Freddy versus Jason was my favorite Freddy line. What? I don't remember that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't
Right.
remember that.
When Lori and Will are trying to get on a boat and Freddy's coming after them, she goes, "Freddy!" And then he's got to make a choice, and he decides to go after Kia, which is Kelly Rowland's character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he says it. And of course, it's a play on How Sweet Fresh Meat from part 4.
Oh, nice. I haven't seen Freddy versus Jason in a few years. I think
Dude,
it
I
was
love that
2021.
movie. You should watch it again.
Honestly, it is a lot of fun, but I didn't remember that part. I remember the got your nose, and then
Yeah.
it's her nose. I'm pretty sure that's Freddy versus Jason.
It is. It is Freddy versus. Can I tell you a TMI? When I was a
Okay.
young horny teenager, I would watch that bit with Freddie and Lori when she's got the nightgown and he's got the glove, and I was like, "Ooh." Rewind. Play again.
I love it.
Ooh. Yeah, I used to write fanfics about Freddy Krueger, man. It was
that's like
one of those people. Thanks.
You gotta be creative.
I'll never let anybody know what they are. We'll never bring them up again. It'll be a mystery to the universe, but I know what I did.
I know what. Oh, that's. I simultaneously want to know everything, and also, if you just left it there, I'm good. Like, that's iconic. I
Let
know
your
what I
imagination
did.
run wild.
I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, 40 years of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's a long time. Long time.
And Freddy as a character has been through everything a character can go through in terms of like movies, TV shows, video games, hiatuses, the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and
Yeah.
yet the character endures.
It's just like Freddie said, I am eternal.
He
He was
is.
right.
And every town has an Elm
Has an
Street.
Elm Street.
I haven't seen a town that doesn't.
Yeah, me neither.
So I want to thank you again for talking Nightmare with me, because this has been so much fun. Where can the people find you should you want to be found?
The people can find me in Irvine, California. No, I'm just kidding. The people can find me online at Sassy Sledgehammer. Sometimes it lets me spell out the full hammer. Sometimes it's just HMMR, depending on character count. And then everybody can watch a documentary called Fredheads on Tubi, Amazon, and I think Fandango at home, and maybe somewhere else. I couldn't
Ooh.
quite find it the other day when I Googled, but if anybody wants to learn about how the franchise has impacted people over these 40 years, that is what that documentary is about. And so it's a lot more emotional than people think. So yeah, that's pretty much
It
it.
is a fantastic documentary, because
Thank
I
you.
saw it when it played at Horror Hound um 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So I'm glad that it's out and people can watch it. Um it's very accessible right now. And
Yeah.
I wear my Fred Heads drawstring to every convention. That's my
I
convention
do. I
bag.
saw you walked away with that lime green bag. I was like, hey.
I had it with me at Motor City Comic Con. It's my convention bag, you know?
I love it. I love that you
So,
use it. Thank you for using it.
of course. And I thank you for making that great film. Thank you for not just like, you're always helping me out. So anything I can do.
Likewise, buddy. Thanks for having me and letting me be loud and talk about the only thing that I really can talk about.
The Star Wars ride at Disney. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
dude, I love that Star Wars ride. I'm telling you, you gotta. I love it. Okay. I love Star Wars.
I do. You can see all my like Star Wars Funko Pops behind
Mhm.
me.
I picked
So
up a baby Grogu when I was there. I picked up Grogu. I wasn't planning on buying anything while I was there outside of food, and there was this Grogu who's like this big. He's pretty
I
big,
love
and
him.
he's weighted, and so like hugging him is just the best thing in the world. And I'm like, I have got to have this. So he's my favorite like cuddle buddy now.
I
Yeah,
love it.
I love
I
him.
love it. I love Baby Yoda. Grogu. He'll forever be Baby Yoda to me, even though I
I
know
know.
he's Grogu. Um, and I will be wrapping this up, but I got an announcement to make, everybody. This is actually this live stream, episode 145. This is the second to last episode of the Would You Die podcast in its current form. Which is kind of a heavy, not heavy, but like that's a lot to, unload on you guys at the end of a live stream. Next Wednesday will be my last episode of the Would You Die podcast for a couple months. I will be back podcasting in March, but Would You Die is going to be basically a brand new show. I'm very excited for the changes I'm making. I think everyone's gonna. Well, I don't know about everyone. If I do well, I'll have a hater or two.
I'm already a hater.
But March, it's going to be a different show. It'll still be called Would You Die? It'll still be me, but it's going to be different. this iteration of Would You Die I've done for 2.5 years. So no, yeah, 2.5 years. It's time for me to try something different. I'm getting a little burnt out with the podcast in its current form, and like I don't know, I feel like I'm not really keeping up with it the way I should. So I'm like, I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna let it do its. I'm gonna change it so where I'm having like I don't want to be like, I'm having fun because I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I want to thank everyone who's ever listened and ever guested, and I'll be back in March. It'll be fun. I'm still probably gonna do live streams though, like this. These are fun.
Mhm. And
But
less pressure.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, I
Except
think doing it live is tough, but at the same time, like, you don't have to edit and add all the fancy
right,
stuff all the time.
but when it kicks me out of the live stream as soon as we're starting. Yo, the technical difficulties were real today.
Yeah. Hey, it happens, you know?
It
I think
happens,
everybody
but
understands. They're just like, "I just wanna hear Austin talk."
I appreciate it, and I hope that's true. With the new changes coming. But yeah, I'm excited. Future looks bright, but I'm gonna end this stream. I hope everyone has a great night. If you're listening to this, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, whatever time it is for you. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.